Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official NFL week number 5 top 10 best bets, where I go through some of my favorite bets of the week, beginning with number 10. It is a fun little potential shootout. The Chiefs at the Minnesota Vikings. Guys, let's just, sometimes it's best to keep it simple. We know both of these quarterbacks score a ton. We understand Patrick Mahomes, really bad week last week, the 2 interceptions, just 1 touchdown. We will take the over 53. A lot of people also in on KC minus the 5 to 5.5. Don't know about that, but certainly I like the over in this game. It is kind of a higher one, especially for the NFL at 53. But if you get the Chiefs at around 30 points, it's going to be a lock, because we know Minnesota, they're always involved in these higher scoring games. Even if it's a situation where the Chiefs get up big, Kirk Cousins and that offense with Jordan Addison, Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, they're tailor-made to really score some points in garbage time as a catch-up type team. I will take the over 53, even though it's a relatively big number. At number 9, it is Cincinnati traveling to the desert. This is a risky one for sure. Not exactly sure what's going on with Joe Burrow, possibly injured, but I guess he's going to try and tough it out, and I will take Cincinnati to possibly have a rebirthing on the road in the desert. They know they're sitting at 1-3. They have to start playing better. And then you look at a team like Arizona. What is this Arizona Cardinals team's future? They're 1-3. You've got 2 high first-round picks. You're better off just losing these games. Cincinnati is way more desperate. Arizona, we're still waiting for that Josh Dobbs blow-up game where he has 2 or 3 turnovers. Maybe it comes here, and maybe Cincinnati really finds themselves. A lot of expectations have been lowered. People are wondering, maybe this will be an upset. It's only a 3-point spread. I can certainly see Cincinnati saying, we still are good. Joe Burrow gets more healthy. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I talked myself into this pick, Cincinnati minus the 3. Moving on to number 8, it is the Thursday night game. What happened with this game and the line movement? I took Chicago to win this game outright, and people were like, no way. And then the line, it was +7 for the Bears. It's gone all the way down to 5.5. Yes, we love Chicago in this game, possibly to win it outright. They should already have a win this year. The Commanders are really streaky. They're very unpredictable, but Sam Howell, minus 5.5. I just can't trust that. Justin Fields looked phenomenal last week. He's going to use his running ability. They really don't need Chase Claypool. Nobody really knows what's going on with that situation. I'm guessing they're just going to release him. How about that Chase Claypool? They traded virtually a late first-round pick for him, and he does absolutely nothing. That's just a horrible transaction by them, but we will take the Bears plus the 5.5 in this game. I do think they could win it outright, although it is getting kind of weird with Bears fans. They're already in tank mode. Seems like they possibly want to get the number 1 overall pick and draft Caleb Williams, but Justin Fields, if he's going to still have these really good performances, I mean, I would like to see Justin Fields on a team like Atlanta. Maybe a trade gets worked out, but either way, I do like the Bears with the value play against Sam Howell and the Commanders on the road. Moving on to number 7, it is the Monday night game, and I always have a fixation with doing this. I don't know why I do it, but whenever the Raiders play at home in Vegas on primetime, I always take the over. It just feels like it's going to happen every time. I don't know. Now, the last time it was the Steelers Raiders, and it actually went under. So the law of averages say we're going to hit an over 45. The Packers are a team with Jordan Love. They're coming off that terrible performance, but they're getting the extra time because it was a Thursday night game. And then the Raiders, you've got Josh Jacobs. Aiden O'Connell wasn't terrible. They were able to move the ball. If they wouldn't have had that red zone interception late, they possibly could have scored 24 points. So that's not horrible when you've got an over-under sitting at 45 in what should be a competitive game, possibly a little bit higher scoring. We will take the over 45. It's prime time. The NFL is going to want points scored in that one. Moving on to number 6, it is Houston traveling to Atlanta. So the Falcons, they seem to be a team that is very easy to bet for or against. So I was off of the Falcons last week. They were 3-point underdogs. I said they'd get crushed. and they did exactly that. But they're back home now against a Houston team. Listen, CJ Stroud's the real deal. He's a franchise quarterback. The way he throws, it's effortless. It's crazy. The arm talent, the touch, the accuracy, the strength, everything. But CJ Stroud is still just starting his 5th game. I think Atlanta comes back home. They're due for a win. Let's settle down here, and we will take Atlanta to win this game 24-17. Maybe a big Kyle Pitts game, although he'll probably end with 3 catches for 38 yards. But we're going to take Atlanta. Bijan Robinson in the mix for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Actually, this could be a battle. Bijan Robinson versus CJ Stroud. I mean, honestly, if CJ Stroud wins 7 or 8 games, he should probably just win the Offensive Rookie of the Year by default. For a quarterback to do that with a team like Houston, when everyone projected them to be literally the 2nd worst team this year, because their pick goes to Arizona, and everyone thought Arizona was going to get the first 2 picks. So that's how good CJ Stroud has been. But I do think he is still a rookie. I'll take the value in Atlanta. Virtual pick'em game at home. Houston's won 2 games in a row. Atlanta's lost 2 games in a row. This is a balanced game. Atlanta ends up winning it. Moving on to number 5, it is Tennessee traveling to Indianapolis. Dude, these AFC South games are brutal. But really, all of the AFC South is 2-2, I think. It's just a crap division. But you have Tennessee, and this really comes down to me picking Vrabel in this game. I think he's a good coach. I think they're going to get it done against a rookie quarterback. That's really all I can say. You know, we'll have to see what happens with Anthony Richardson, but Tennessee is brutal. You just never know what you're going to get with them. Normally, they're close games, although their last 2 games, they got throttled by the Browns, and then they crushed Cincinnati. Now they're on the road. Again, you're facing a rookie quarterback. There's decent value. This line originally was Indianapolis -1.5. It's flipped. Really doesn't surprise me. Other people going in on Tennessee, and I do think they're going to win a relatively close scoring game there. Moving on to number 4, it is the Jets at Denver. So believe it or not, we are going in on the under 43 in this game after looking at some statistics, looking at some of the analytics. It does seem like this is setting up for, Zach Wilson was good last week. He's going to have an encore. He's going to play really good against a bad Denver defense. But I really don't think this Denver defense is nearly as bad as everyone is saying. It seems more of like a small sample size type thing. They're a pretty average defense to me. I think they're going to finish that way. So they're going to get back on track. They might get an interception or 2 against Zach Wilson, and we're going to get a lower scoring game. The only reason this number is 43 is just because Denver's defense has been so horrible. If this game happened in week 2 and Zach Wilson was starting, the over-under would probably be 38 or 39, so I'll take the under 43. Also, Denver home games, at least in the past few years, seemingly always go under. Moving on to number 3, it is New Orleans traveling to New England. So New Orleans really bad on offense recently. They're sitting at 2-2. The Pats are at 1-3. This is a balanced game. Although I'll be honest, I mean, what are the Patriots doing right now? Legitimately, they drafted Mac Jones in the middle of the first round. He hasn't been very good. They've been like a 7-8 win team the last 2 or 3 years. They've been in purgatory. Are they going to continue that, or do they just decide to say, screw it, let's tank? I mean, I think they're going to win this game, but I don't know what the future is in New England. Should be a lower scoring game. New Orleans, that last week game against Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay at home, they couldn't generate anything, and now you're going on the road against a decent defense and a team that's going to be very hungry for a win. New England simply knows they can't fall to 1-4, and it's a very winnable game, sitting -1.5 at home. I will take them in a lower scoring affair. Moving on to number 2, it is the Giants traveling to Miami, and this one seems relatively obvious, maybe too obvious, but I have learned in the NFL sometimes the too obvious pick is the correct pick, believe it or not. -11, it's a big number. It was -10.5. Everyone seems to be going in on Miami, and it does seem like your typical bounce back for Miami. Tyreek Hill only 3 catches last week. Tua was really shut down the entire second half throwing, and this just seems like a throttling. I mean, the Giants, you could say Saquon Barkley is back. They're going to keep it close. They're going to run the ball. I just don't see any weapons. I don't see a passing game right now with Daniel Jones. The offenses are just not comparable. This is going to be a large Miami victory after their loss, and I was against Miami last week. I said, no, Buffalo will cover the 2.5. I was right, but now I'm back in on Miami minus the 11 because they're due for a big offensive performance, and they're going to have it. And then moving on to number 1, it is the over 44. I always love the overs at Ford Field. It always seems like higher scoring games, and it does seem like Bryce Young took a few steps up last week. 0 turnovers, good ball placement, and then you do have a Detroit team building momentum, sitting at 3-1, coming off that big time win. I don't love Detroit minus the 9, although I know a lot of people are saying take Detroit minus the 9, but I'll just say I'll take the over 44. That's a relatively low over-under for the Lions to be involved in. And again, Bryce Young, to me, seems like he's really gaining confidence. He might throw a few touchdowns in this one. Even if it's garbage time, we will take the over for this game, with Detroit ending up winning it. It is in a dome, so there's no weather concerns. Either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video and my top 10 NFL best bets for week number 5. Make sure you're following me on X. Link to that's always in the description.